What's up? What's up? We are here for the Sil Abdul Sports Juice Show. I've always been a sports fan as well. I mean, I'm as passionate of sports as I am of film and comics and things like that. So, and we'll have other things going on as well too. But I was looking for a way to kind of jump back because I've been doing sports content for a while, and I was looking for a way to kind of jump back into it because of timing and everything, and kind of found my way back in. This is the perfect week with the NFL playoffs. First week, I quite honestly, I kind of hope I never see a Texans game or a Patriots game again. And lo and behold, that's who's playing in the second round. So we'll get to that. We'll get to my picks as well of the divisional round. But yeah, I just hate the style of both those teams. Just quite honestly. But NFL wildcard playoffs, big questions, judging overreactions. First up, the Texans and Steelers. Again, a horrible game, truly horrible game to watch. And again, I'm gonna be pretty bluntly honest about a lot of things. So just prepare any virgin ears out there. But this was a terrible game. I don't believe in either of these teams' offense. So first, you had the losers, so you're eliminated. So Steelers, you're out. Terrible offense. Aaron Rodgers is done. They just didn't have anything redeeming on offense, though. I am a fan of a Gainwell, Kenneth Gainwell. Solid dude. He's, like I said, a solid weapon. Maybe they just don't know how to use him. Not creative enough overall, but nothing redeeming from the Steelers. And just, since they're going off to Cancun, let's just kind of, again, keep it a buck with them. The Steelers were only here because the Ravens missed that field goal, right? I'd rather have seen 60% Lamar Jackson, because we know he wasn't healthy all of this season. I'd rather see him on his last leg versus these Texans. And I still think the Texans defense probably would have, beat up the Ravens as well. But the Steelers, like I said, just it's time for a reset. CJ Stroud he lost the juice. We talking about the juice show here. Who has the juice? Not CJ Stroud. Like, he just does not look like the same person from his rookie season when he took everybody by surprise, right? But they generated a running game because the Steelers can't stop the run. So you got Joquavius Marks over 100 yards. You also had Nick Chubb. I'm always pulling for Nick Chubb when he plays. He got nearly 50 yards. But just something ain't right with that offense. Also, Nico Collins, I think, got dinged up. So that brings us to some burning questions. That's my take on the game and both of the teams. Now, what's the chatter out there? The question that says it won't matter who the Steelers coach is until they get a real quarterback. Interesting. They're saying this is not an overreaction. You can love Mike Tomlin, fire Mike Tomlin, but give Mike Tomlin a lifetime contract or whatever. It's not going to matter until whoever succeeds him gets a real quarterback. Like, who am I supposed to blame that you don't have a quarterback, right? That's just my only question with that. So I think is a bigger issue in-house there with the GM or whatever they're doing, because this can't be an excuse anymore. If you got to blame the more organization if we're saying, okay, Steelers don't have a quarterback, then fix that. Because with what you're working with, you're going to have, a 9-win season. You're going to have an appearance in the playoffs, and you're going to get bounced first round every single time. So I'm leaning more towards the organizational problem. But I wouldn't be surprised if, again, they flip it and start from scratch. Can the Texans offense survive without wide receiver Nico Collins? As I mentioned with my takes on the offense, the problem is at the quarterback or it's the play calling. That's the problem, in my opinion. With Nico Collins having a concussion, that's just less firepower, of course. Now they're going against the Patriots. As it says, expect the Patriots to play tons of man coverage across the board. Though they have the Patriots, Christian Gonzalez, one of the top DBs in the league. He has a concussion as well, so maybe a little even playing field. Chargers versus Patriots, the second horrible game of this wild card weekend after the Texans Steelers. Fell asleep on that game. Also fell asleep on this game. Chargers, Patriots, the team that lost, the Chargers, only scoring 3 points. You always hear about this Jim Harbaugh magic or whatever he's supposed to be doing. This is what year 2, right? We're year 2. Yeah, I don't like all the excuses Justin Herbert is getting, though he is banged up. You could tell in the game he was getting, catching some haymakers. Like I really felt sorry for Justin Herbert. The whole story of he doesn't have a line, and it's true. He lost 2 All-Pro linemen, but again, that falls on coaching. You need to do different schemes. You can't do the same scheme that you were doing before. If Herbert doesn't have enough time, you have to develop more of a running game. Justin Herbert was your leading rusher, so that's not ideal. And then again, obviously his receivers didn't really get involved because he didn't have time to really throw that much. This is a recipe. Like I said, we could talk about excuses all day. Do you believe Justin Herbert is the guy? A lot of people keep talking about his physical talent and things like that. But, obviously if he's getting, beat to heck, then, all that talent means nothing. So do I got to blame the organization? Do I got to blame coaching that they're not putting him in the best situation? We'll see. We'll see when they run this back next year. But it just cannot look like this. Even though the Patriots, yes, solid defense, Mike Vrabel coaching, I agree. But no, not like this. You can't go out like this every year from the playoffs, Justin Herbert. Next year, you're definitely on the clock as far as, do you got the juice or not, Herbert? I was hard on CJ Stroud, but at least CJ Stroud is winning that first round, that wild card every year. And then maybe it's the defense that's dragging him now, CJ Stroud, and he has to show up in the divisional round. But Herbert, you just dipping your toe in the dance. You still got to get past the wild card. So Justin Herbert, you're definitely on the clock next year if you have the juice or not. Now, going to the winning team, the Patriots, they were favored in this game. Again, everyone likes Vrabel, his defensive approach. Then you got the offensive coordinator, Josh McDaniels, who, obviously did a lot of work with Tom Brady. So Drake May had an MVP type season. I still believe, Stafford is the MVP, but shout out to Drake May settling in and doing an MVP type season. But this game, they ran into a really good defense in the Chargers. So like I said, on the other side, the Chargers have things to work with. They just got to get their offense together. Their defense is pretty stout. But so as far as with the Patriots, you didn't really see the best version of their offense. Drake May, they played a really ugly game, but he keeps it very efficient. And again, he was a leading rusher, which I don't want to see the quarterback leading rushing too much. And he didn't really get the receivers involved a lot. So the Patriots just came out, did what they were supposed to do, take care of an inferior team. So what questions do we have about the Patriots after this game? Well, like I said, I already gave my take. This is the chatter that's out there that's saying the Patriots still haven't beaten anyone good. Is that an overreaction? They say here, not an overreaction. Sure, they won, which is all that matters at this point. But their performance did not scream number 2 seed Super Bowl contender. And again, I agree that offense, when you start facing stout defenses more, this is kind of the version of the team, where their defense may have to hold the other team, under 17 points, and offense, better get them 17 or more points for them to win some of these more contested games. As it says, this game did little to tamp down the notion of them being an untested team that could struggle against better competition. The Chargers are now only the third team Patriots have beaten this season that made the playoffs. One of the other two was the Panthers, who finished their season 8-10 after they got bounced. And the final one was the Bills, to whom they lost to later in the season. So if you just think about it, just from the season that we saw, you saw the Chargers were heavily flawed, right? So we all understand that. The Panthers, they backed into the playoffs, so they put up a really good fight. But I think that Panthers game kind of exposed the Rams, and we'll talk about that in a moment. And then Patriots played the Bills twice, and they split the games. And I think the Bills have some defensive issues as well, too. So the Patriots, they're not clear-cut heavyweights like some people want them to be. Now, again, they flip back to the Justin Herbert talk. Why hasn't Justin Herbert won a playoff game? He's officially gone 0 for 3 in his first 3 postseason starts. He's only the 4th quarterback this century to go winless in his first 3 postseason starts, joining Andy Dalton, Matt Ryan, Matthew Stafford. What do all those quarterbacks have in common? I really don't know, because I'm not going to really dig into this too much, but I would say coaching plays a part in all this. I believe Dalton, what was he with the Bengals? So, yeah, I don't expect the Bengals to win, those years when Andy Dalton was leading them. Matt Ryan with the Falcons, he got better coaching, again, later in his career, and he was an MVP, made the Super Bowl. So I think it's a coaching thing. Matthew Stafford, we all know he started with the Detroit Lions. So obviously he was cursed from day one until he got with Sean McVay. Better coaching. So is this coaching? Justin Herbert, his first handful of years in his career, you could probably blame coaching. Now you got Jim Harbaugh. You got the Jim Harbaugh system, year 2. Yes, I understand injuries, but you're supposed to put Herbert in better situations if you don't have an offensive line or whatever. So, like I said, next year we got to start pointing the finger to someone. And right now I'm leaning more towards the coaching, just the schemes, what they're doing with this quarterback. If he doesn't get it done, then it's like the coaching has to start asking themselves, is Justin Herbert our guy? Like, I know it sounds crazy to question that, but that's just weird company right there. As it says, the Chargers clearly need new interior offensive linemen. Well, I just saw with my Bears, they rebuilt that offensive line in one offseason. So, yeah, and again, the Chargers, they had devastating injuries. But like I said, you got to start doing quicker passes. You got to do something to mitigate that. 49ers at Eagles. Oh, my goodness. This is my take with this. With these Eagles. Now, I told y'all my biasness will show at times. And me being a lifelong Bears fan, I wanted the best path possible to get a chance at the Super Bowl this season in our dream season. We already beat the Packers. We'll talk about that in a moment. And then the things were setting up where if the Eagles won, they would have came to Chicago for round 2, divisional round. And watching this game in the middle of this 49ers-Eagles game, I was saying to myself, man, I hope these Eagles win, because I would love to see this version of this Eagles team come to Chicago, because the Bears already beat them up Black Friday game this season. We didn't fear the Eagles. And in fact, we were welcoming, the defending champs. And I was just hoping they pulled this game out. So I'm upset with the Eagles doubly because they fumbled this game. And now we got to face the Rams coming to Chicago. And I wanted to hold them off as long as possible. but anyway, so again, biasness aside, the Eagles look terrible all season. When it's money time, what you going to do? And Jalen Hurts, it really seems like this Eagle organization, I should say, is more of a front-running structure, because that last drive of the Eagles looked terrible for, to try to have a chance to win this. But you're not supposed to allow Jalen Hurts to get in that situation where he has to do a money drive. That's just one thing. So again, I blame a little bit of coaching on that, but also too, like I said, you got to know your personnel. I don't have a problem with Jalen Hurts being my quarterback, because I've seen him go to the Super Bowl twice, and he really should have won both of them. So what's the problem? This offensive scheme is terrible. So you got the coordinator there that a lot of people think shouldn't be there anymore. But then also two people are questioning the head coach overall, Sirianni. Their offensive attack is very pedestrian. I was pulling for them to beat the Niners because I wanted this Eagles team, because I knew we would destroy them, because we already did before. So that that doesn't say a lot about your team when I'm pulling for you because I want to play you. So just terrible overall. The Niners again, Brock Purdy when it was money time. I mean, I saw him against my Bears where hey Purdy, I think he got tired of y'all saying Mac Jones should take his spot. I think that's what happened with Brock Purdy. He stepped up, amazing drive. He's using Christian McCaffrey as best as he can, though they're not getting a good running game this season. The Niners are not. McCaffrey's doing a lot of damage in the air as far as catching. So that's something to kind of look at. If these games get more and more ugly, I think this is really going to hurt the Niners because their next game is against the Seahawks if you can't run that ball. So what's the questions regarding these teams after the Niners win? Can the Niners make a legit Super Bowl run? Is that an overreaction? According to what they're saying, they feel that is an overreaction. The Niners are an easy team to like and respect. They're tough. They've been without their two best players on defense. That's Fred Warner, who they feel he probably can even come back if they get past the Seahawks. But and Nick Bosa, all-world pass rusher. Their defense, coached by Saleh, don't can get you so far, using all these backups. I think someone said they're even on fifth string at some positions. So just overall, like I said, I'm not sure the Niners will have enough in the tank going to Seattle, playing them the second time in like 3 weeks. The previous two games that the Niners and Seahawks have played have been ugly games, both ways, both times. So I am expecting more of the same in the third game. And the Niners have less players now, even from the game 2 weeks ago that they played the Seahawks. So that's going to be tough. Again, we'll get to our picks on that. But what about the Eagles? Is the Eagles offense breakup inevitable? There's no worse kept secret in the NFL than the frustration internally and externally with the Eagles offensive coaching this season. You got the coordinator Patullo on the offensive end. He replaced Kellen Moore. You won a Super Bowl with Kellen Moore, who's turning around the Saints. Shout out to Kellen Moore, right? They lost some juice when he left the building. A.J. Brown's visibly upset all the time. Running back Saquon didn't have a nearly productive season. Jalen Hurts continued to struggle throwing to the middle of the field. And like I said, you can't put Jalen Hurts in those situations. So again, I blame coaching. Why are you dialing up those types of plays? Bills, Jags. Definitely a Superman game for Josh Allen as the Bills, which I feel was a significant upset going into Jacksonville and beating the Jaguars. I thought the Jaguars was hot this past month plus. I was actually high on Trevor Lawrence and the Jags defense. And I just thought they were going to come in and, I wouldn't say win the Super Bowl, but I thought they was going to make some noise, the Jags. So taking them out round one in their house, I put Trevor Lawrence kind of like in that Jalen Hurts bucket where I could win with this guy, but I got to have the right coach and I got to call the right calls for him. Now, the difference between Jalen Hurts and Trevor Lawrence was a couple of differences. Hurts has won before, but currently, Trevor Lawrence, I feel he has the proper coaching. It's just he has to execute. And they have to call the right plan for him because leaving it up to him for a game-winning drive, you got to have it to win. I didn't want to see, you want to see what these guys have in these situations. That's why I don't believe Jalen Hurts is that type of guy. Trevor Lawrence, can he be that type of guy? First play on that last drive, interception, right? So he's not that guy yet, right? But hey, they're building something with the Jags. Again, I think their defense, even though they lost, they stepped it up and they gave their team a chance. So what's the post-game questions about this Bills and Jags matchup? It says, this really is Josh Allen's best chance to win the Super Bowl? Is that an overreaction? They say, no, not an overreaction. This has been a narrative since preseason. True. Bills were set up with one of the easiest looking schedules. They played one game all season outside their home time zone. Mahomes is out. Burrow's out. Lamar Jackson missed the playoffs as well. So Josh Allen got to be like, who's going to stop me, right? Like, I mean, while the Broncos defense that that good to stop the best quarterback in the game right now? That remains to be seen. This is an overreaction, like I said. Josh Allen, he has to run the table here. He has to drag this team, and if his defense is going to show up and be ready, that's what happens in these playoffs. Like, you just a switch flips on one side of the ball, and then as long as you got a all-pro quarterback and a feisty defense, and also some semblance of a running game, decent coaching, that's a recipe for a Super Bowl run. So the Bills getting out of this first round, because I thought the Jags was going to beat them. I thought the Jags, as it says here, Jags had a better team, and honestly, it looked very much as if it had the better team Sunday. But Allen and the Bills willed their way to a win. That's what the playoffs is about. We've seen this long enough. Your favorite teams or your rivals, you've seen, those Eli Manning Giants runs where just they catch that juice, right? That's why I think Josh Allen got the juice. My second favorite team growing up was the Indianapolis Colts. And in 2007, Peyton Manning was losing every year. The Patriots was beating them every year. Our defense was maligned. They didn't think the defense was great, or they couldn't stop the run. That was a big thing with the Colts back then. And then a switch flipped in the playoffs for the Colts defense, and the Patriots, the Colts, Peyton Manning went on a wonderful run, took out the Patriots, took out Tom Brady and the Patriots, a classic game, and won a Super Bowl against my Bears as well. I got two teams. But so we've seen this happen, right? Like I said, Eli, that's funny, it's the brothers. Eli Manning did it before a couple times. You got Peyton Manning and the Colts, they did it. The Pittsburgh Steelers one year, Jerome Bettis last season had a magical run. Ray Lewis and the Ravens, they got on a magical run. So we've seen these types of teams before. And just what I witnessed, I picked against the Bills. And what I saw is that their defense said, we're going to scrap this up and give the ball to our big time dog, Josh Allen. That's a recipe to win a Super Bowl. So just saying. Now, this is the part where I apologize in advance for any Packers fans watching me talk about this. My Chicago Bears took down the Packers in an instant classic, second half at least, 31-27 playoff game in Chicago. Caleb did it again, coming back again in the second half, in the fourth quarter, notably. Some of the greatest throws in NFL history was made. And you saw the cheese graters. Just the Packers became a national punchline, I feel, after this game. But just overall, man, it was amazing to see. Okay, I mean, okay. My biasness obviously will show. But let's look at the numbers here, right? Jordan Love, hey, he's been a all pro level quarterback, all the seasons that he started. So we'll start again with the losers here. The Packers lost. Hey, Jordan Love was getting whatever he wanted in the first half, especially in the first quarter. It was looking a little ugly for my Bears defense. Got shout out the second half adjustments by defensive coordinator Dennis Allen on the Bears side, because at first Jordan Love was getting whatever he wanted, but at the end of the day, he ended up with comparable numbers, him and Caleb. So this was a real shootout. It was just shootout for the Packers in first half, all Bears second half. Josh Jacobs, again, all pro level running back, running game. He was banged up this past month going into the playoffs. He really didn't have his full juice. And so they rested him, I believe, last week. And then, he gave you what you got. Josh Jacobs tried to run pretty hard, but second half, really starting second quarter, he was getting kind of bottled up. One thing with the Packers, I do respect they have multiple receivers. So it's sort of like the Bills, as far as, everyone can eat. But I think the Packers have more talented receivers than the Bills as far as just this approach of we're just going to give it to who's open. That's what the Packers do. But they got some talented dudes. I mean, Romeo Doubs is a good vet. He got most of the targets today, but then rookie from University of Texas, Matthew Golden, finally got in the end zone, and he looked great out there. Matthew Golden, I guess they were saying he was injured a couple weeks ago. He looked as talented as anyone on the field. He had Jaden Reed, Christian Watson. Everyone was giving you, all of them got a touchdown, all four of those receivers that I mentioned. So the Packers did what they could do, and especially in the first half, after the Bears' defensive adjustments. And the Bears just put the ball in Caleb Williams' hands and said, go take us there. So on the Bears side, with the Bears, like I said, Caleb Williams, I mean, yes, 50% completion percentage. He always missed stuff early, or just things get tipped, or it just is nerve-wracking being a Bears fan in the first half, because you know the talent is there. It's just not coming together. But then when it comes together, you get Superman. And that's what Caleb Williams did that second half. Goodness. Amazing, just amazing overall. As far as their running game, the Bears, with DeAndre Swift has been solid. Kyle Monangai, I think it was a 7th round running back. Great tandem there. On the receiving side, Colston Loveland, he looked like Travis Kelce out there, right? Like Caleb Williams, he was doing plays only Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen can do. And Colston Loveland was looking like Travis Kelce. This is a rookie, and he got 15 targets, 137 yards, 8 receptions. The scheme of this team is perfect for Colston. They're getting matchup problems with DBs and linebackers. Like that's another Travis Kelce 2.0 right there. Shout out to DJ Moore. Got the game winning touchdown, basically. Now, DJ Moore, he plays such a physical style as a Bears fan, and you see DJ Moore get banged up almost every other game. And in the middle of game, sometimes he just loses a step, but then he kind of juices up when we really need him. So a great touchdown in the end for him. It was good to see Rome Odunze back for the Bears. Top 10 receiver, draft pick, I should say, top 10 draft pick. So I do want to see more from him. I know he's been injured. His foot has been a problem for the past, almost 2 months. We haven't seen him play. So seeing him out there now, knowing he probably wasn't 100%, but he had one of the greatest catches. He had the best catch of the greatest throw in Bears history, it seemed like. So I would love to see Rome get back to that number 1 spot. And then we got Colston Loveland. That's scary. Luther Burden, the third, great weapon. So I love our weapons overall with that. So, I mean, that's just, this was a dream come true type of game. This was the biggest win in my lifetime, I think, as a Bears fan. For those that weren't around in 1985, the organization's been living off of 1985, for the past 40 years. And so now it's time for a new legacy. And I feel we got our quarterback, we got our coach, we got weapons, we got running backs. Got to show up that defense. I got to see more of that second half defense. And I don't know if the Bears quite got the look in their eye like the Bills do. Because like I said, the Bills got that eye of the tiger. I've seen juice teams like the Bills. My Bears, I do got to see more. I do got to see, I guess, more of a complete game of that defense. Because if my knock is on the defense on the Bears, just like it was the Bills, during the season, the Bills were going punch for punch throughout the entire game. The Bears, that first quarter, their defense just wasn't there, right? So I need to see a more complete. I could live with the offense coming on late. I got to see a complete game from the defense to believe my Bears can make a real run. And we got a real competition with the Rams in the divisional round. And if you're going to prove it, this is when you prove it, right? So I can't say my Bears are dark horse yet. Obviously, I'm high on my team, but I believe what my eyes see, and I believe our defense got to really bring it much better than this. So the questions after this game is that Caleb Williams is going to win the MVP award next season. Is that an overreaction? Hey, I mean, when you get the first half of this season, Caleb Williams, again, he was kind of learning the system. They were kind of, I won't say dumbing it down for him, but he didn't have to be Superman at all. This first half of the season. And you really don't want to rely on someone having to do fourth quarter comebacks. But once it started happening this season for the Bears, it was clear defense, if you're out of whack, just find a way to get Caleb Williams the ball in the fourth quarter, and we're going to go and score. And it happened more times than not. So will he be an MVP candidate next season? For sure. For sure. If they get the wins, now you got the media kind of on him and people realizing, hey, I mean, it's house money now for my Bears. If we lose to the Rams in divisional round, everyone will say great season, right? Come back, and improve that defense and come back and try again. But if we beat the Rams, then it's like, it's a magical ride, right? So the Bears they already stamped successful season. Now let's just see how far we can go with this, right? But next season, yeah, Caleb Williams, MVP level. Rams at the Panthers. Surprisingly good game. This kicked off all the playoff action. Again, most of these games were good except the last two: Steelers, Texans, Patriots, Chargers. But this Rams and Panthers game, I thought this was going to be another blowout, right? I thought like Rams were going to come in there, put their foot on their necks, and say, okay, there's levels to this, right? Right? Well, the Panthers, they, actually beat the Rams, earlier in the season. Now people could call that a fluke. Okay, let's see what you got at home. First off, Bryce Young, I feel, solid numbers, right? I think Bryce Young could be a solid quarterback. We'll see if the coaching, again, puts him in better situations than not. That's the Trevor Lawrence thing. That's, low-key version of a Jalen Hurts type thing. It's just certain guys, it's like, hey, give him the ball. Josh Allen, take this ball, take us home. Caleb Williams, take us home. But then you have Trevor Lawrence, Jalen Hurts, now Bryce Young, like, just put him in the best situation as possible. And Bryce Young was delivering. He was dealing when given the right opportunity. It's just the Panthers defense couldn't stop Matthew Stafford and Sean McVay, right? The Panthers, like I said, solid average running attack with Chuba Hubbard. You got Rico Dotto as well. In the passing game, Jalen Coker, definitely, this is a name that I know now because he stepped way up. Coupled with Tetero McMillan, that's a receiver I've watched in college. He went to Arizona, and he had solid numbers as well in this game. 7 targets, 5 receptions, 81 yards. They just probably got to add like a tight end or something, a third option for Bryce Young, a safety valve type of receiver. And they could still upgrade the running game, as well. Chuba Hubbard is solid. You can upgrade their running game, but I mean, the Panthers, hey, no one expected them to make the playoffs. They backed into it, but this is a successful season for them, and I don't think they're going to go away. The Panthers, they again keep adding to the offense, get a safety valve, tight end, shore up the running attack, maybe add a upgrade running back for a tandem on that end, and obviously, defensively, you can always use some more defense. So, solid year for the Panthers. It's about the Rams, and they are facing again my Bears in the divisional round. Next round here, hey, Matthew Stafford, not a perfect game from him, but MVP level, over 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. Gotta have it in the fourth quarter. Stafford is that type of dude. Again, there's levels. There's levels to these quarterbacks. Not everyone can be that game-winning type guy. Some quarterbacks kind of sort of gotta be front runners. And I think front runners are, again, people like Jalen Hurts, people like Trevor Lawrence, Bryce Young. Stafford is, again, he has the juice in the fourth quarter. So give him the ball. They had the running attack with Kyren Williams. I mean, like I said, I like the Rams offense overall. Obviously, Puka Nacua is a dog as well. And you got Devontae Adams, who, could still be a number one, but he's with, you got 2 number ones with Nacua and him. So dangerous passing attack for the Rams overall. So let's look at some of the questions in the fallout of this game. Is Bryce Young going to get a top 10 QB contract this offseason? Is that an overreaction? Yeah, I mean, like I said, Bryce Young, like I said, Trevor Lawrence, is Trevor Lawrence a $40-50 million quarterback? Probably not. Jalen Hurts, I think, is getting 40. So that's, just the market is probably going to give you like a 40. I think Brock Purdy got 50, and again, he deserves it overall. So you don't want to overpay for Bryce Young is what the point I'm trying to make, because you can't give him the ball, and again, he's not going to big dog it in the fourth quarter for you. But he can run your system. He's elusive. You can win some games. I mean, you've seen they won games with Bryce Young. You just got to, again, coaching, get him some more weapons, definitely improve the running game, because you don't want him throwing the ball 40 times a game or something like that. So, as I said, massive respect to Bryce Young and the Panthers. The Rams won, but the Carolina made all of us who thought it could pull off an upset look good. And I thought they had. But it's like, hey, you give him the ball to Matthew Stafford, you probably won't win that game too many times. Young was fearless and fun and everything teams want their quarterbacks to be in big moments. He was 21 of 40, 264, touchdown pass, and he also ran for a touchdown. Again, very elusive. Though he's a little dude, he's elusive. Hit Jalen Coker, again, a guy that I'm really going to keep my eye on, that's passing attack of the Panthers. You got McMillan, you got Coker. They got something working here. But the defense inexplicably went into prevent mode with way too much time left. The Rams marched down the field, winning score. Young did everything he could to try to keep this season alive. Division champ, but still. All that said, it's too soon for Panthers to commit. If Young wants to sign a Darnold or Baker Mayfield type deal, that's like $30 million, and put some incentives in there, go ahead, right? And I think most teams are going to kind of look at these quarterback contracts now, because I mean, we know the market's there. I think with Dak's getting $60 million, it's like, okay, we got to kind of calm down. Everyone's not Patrick Mahomes, right? Everyone's not going to be Caleb Williams. So there's levels to this, but that Darnold market, $30 million, you may not be the ultimate juice quarterback, but you can run this system. That's the market probably where Bryce Young is at. There are plenty of big differences between the Panthers' regular season upset and their near postseason repeat. The connecting thread is how successful the Panthers tested the Rams' defensive backs in coverage. And that's music to my ears as a Bears fan. It's like, okay, we may have a shootout, because everyone will say the Bears defense, you can't stop Matthew Stafford and the Rams. But I'm saying your Rams defense can't stop Caleb Williams. So hey, toss it up. Let's see what we got in Chicago, right? In the first matchup, it was the shot plays late in the drives to score big touchdowns. In this game, Panthers ripped off explosives to Terrell, McMillan, and Coker. And it was fun to see. The ball came out fast from Young, and that's good coaching, which helped neutralize the Rams' pass rush. As Carolina wagered on the supersized receivers against Rams' smaller DBs, it generally worked. And so, again, all I could do is look at, okay, what do my Bears have? Big Colston Loveland. Dunze has some good size. But like I said, the Panthers just got these big receivers, and Rams DB can't do nothing. So I'm looking for big games from my Bears against the Rams. I'm looking for Colston Loveland and Cole Kmet for my Bears to expose this Rams defense. But we know Stafford's going to throw us one, maybe two. In Chicago, cold weather. Again, we got a couple of big targets with Loveland and Cole Kmet. Let's toss it up and let's see what we got. And we're going to transition to the divisional picks. So coming up this Saturday, the divisional round, we got the Bills at Broncos. Here's the current lines as it stands. This could fluctuate as we get closer to the game. What's my picks with this? Like I said, the Bills got the look, man. The Bills got this look of destiny. I thought the Jags, I think the Jags was a more talented team. I thought the Jags would pull it out. But Josh Allen got that team ready and feisty. And I think when you line them up against the Broncos have just as good and better defense than the Jags. And I think that Josh Allen's going to have to go through a gauntlet here. And hopefully he can survive it, because I believe the Bills can actually win this game. I would take the money line on this because they could low key just win by 1 point. I think the Bills could, but if I'm picking a winner, this is not gambling advice or anything, but I like the Bills in this game to pull off the upset. Niners, Seahawks at Seahawks. As I said, the Niners, great story. They scraped and clawed their way here. Purdy having some playoff magic as well. Not sure if it's about having that eye of the tiger look, that juice look that the Bills, that I point out the Bills had. I think the Bills already have that look. I think the Niners, if they go into Seattle and really put up some points, and I don't think they will. So that's just what I want to say right now. I don't think the Niners will. The 2 previous games the Niners had against the Seahawks, they split those games, and neither of the teams scored 20 points in either of the games. So it's going to be a low-scoring game. Each team scored either 7. The winner of the games scored 17 points in the first game, week 1. The Niners got 17-13. And then Seahawks in week 18 won 13-3. So it's going to be a low-scoring game. I would say, can the Niners pull off something? Because the Seahawks have great defense. Sam Darnold is, again, that Trevor Lawrence, Jalen Hurts type situation. You got to give them the lead. Don't make these quarterbacks bring you back. That's not what Darnold normally could do. So you want to jump on the Niners and just let Darnold game manage it away, to sort out the win. Purdy is showing he probably can go get it, right? So it's going to be tough to even say anything with the spread or the money line with this. I'll just take the under on points overall for this, because I think, like I said, both games, I think, both teams combined for 30 points, 35 points. So I'm just going to take the under there and let them fight and see who wins. Sunday games, Texans at Patriots. 2 of the teams that I just hate to watch. They just have boring games. They just look boring overall with that. So that is what it is. But they're lining up, and let's see what they got. Right. Texans, are underdogs on the road to the Patriots. I think the Texans, again, offense has some limitations because CJ Stroud just not seeing the juice, right? And this is usually when he taps out, the divisional round. I mean, definitely it could be worse. It could be losing in the wild card every year, like the Pittsburgh Steelers. But at least the Texans make it to the divisional round. But I just don't know if they're going to have enough. Now, the Texans defense could really pull off something spectacular here. They could really pull off something here on the road. But at the same time, I think the Patriots defense is going to give Texans some issues. I'm not ready to say the Texans are ready to take out these Patriots. I'll take the money line on this one. I just think the Patriots will find a way to win. It'll probably be close and ugly with CJ Stroud with the ball in his hand late in the game to go for the win. I don't think he can deliver. We really haven't seen Drake May have to bring them from behind, the Patriots from behind. So I'm actually saying I would trust Drake May more in that situation now than I would CJ Stroud. And I just think the Patriots will have less issues offensively. I think both teams will be good defensively. And so I'm leaning towards the Patriots, not trusting any points on this, just money line Patriots. And the Rams at my Bears in frigid Chicago. I'm just going to say it right now. I'm taking the points, 3.5, okay? I'm taking the 3.5. You're not supposed to do this with your heart, but this is what I'm doing. We're going there with it because, and this is why I take the points, because if the Bears lose, I think they will only lose by a field goal, right? So you'll cover it either way with that. But as I said, the issues I think the Rams will have is that, yes, the Rams probably can score on my Bears defense. I think the Rams offense, is likely better than the Packers offense we just faced. And the Packers, and also the coaching too, McVay and the offense of the Rams, I think, are better than Matt LaFleur and the Packers offense. And the Packers went off on us early. So I think the Rams potentially can do the same, right? It's just, let's make this a shootout. And I think it becomes a shootout. I like my Bears' chances. I think we could take the ball away as well, because Stafford would give you 1 or 2 gifts in the air. And I think, again, the key, we see the blueprint to beat this Rams defense is using your big targets. We got 2 big targets, just like the Panthers did. The Panthers should have beat them, but you left too much time for Stafford. So we got Colston Loveland and Cole Kmet. These got to be their legacy games. And you sneak in some things in the slot with Luther Burden, DJ Moore, etc. This could be a shootout. I'm not going to outright say my Bears, guarantee will win, but I think if we lose, we can lose by 3 points or less, and that will cover the spread. So that's my picks for the divisional round. So definitely, like I said, NFL playoffs is always a fun time to watch ball. And like I said, I like the game overall. I got my favorites, but I recognize those who got the juice. And like I said, right now, my juice team right now is the Buffalo Bills. They got the look. I see what Josh Allen is doing. The Bills defense is coming in feisty because people were picking on their defense, and that means some good coaching there as well too. All-world quarterback, feisty defense, best running attack in the league. That's a recipe for a Super Bowl run. And so, like I said, right now I'm leaning towards Bills as that team, and we'll see if my Bears, flip some switch, they probably can be a juice team as well. That's a juice candidate. I'll say that. So for sure, juice team, Buffalo Bills. Juice candidate, my Bears, and another potential candidate would be the 49ers, the team that just, like I said, you get this crazy look in your eye and you're like, oh, this team can go on that Eli Manning Giants run or something like that. So those are my candidates. We're going to sit down and watch all these games. I may let me know in the comments below, if you're into college football. I may talk a little college football next episode, or throw a college football episode out there. I'm going to see if I'm going to mix topics or not. Probably do a separate video for the championship game, national championship, Indiana Hoosiers, Miami Hurricanes. That should be a fun game as well too. And then at times, like I said, I'll do some basketball coverage and things like that. But right now it's NFL time. It's playoffs time. Let me know in the comments below your favorite team, or did they get bounced already? Again, NFL coverage is so fun to me because, like I said, off season, we're going to talk the drafts. We're going to talk all these coaching carousels as well too. So much love. This was Sil Abdul Sports. Till next time. This was the Sil Abdul Sports Juice Show. We out.
Yo, you got the juice now, man. You want it all, the juice.